Alright, for this next part on the build, what I'm going to do is make an idler plate. This shouldn't be too difficult. I'm going to make it come off the blower case, the front of it here. So I got my other front here that I'm going to use as a pattern. And then this is the pulley. I bought it from a place called RBS Superchargers. It's a wider diameter pulley because I can get a better deal on the wide belts. That's why I go with a wider pulley. Most people will go with a 3-inch wide pulley though. But I'm going to go with this one. It's also a little smaller diameter. It was a little cheaper than the big ones, and I'm going to give this one a shot. If this one don't work, then I can always go to a bigger one. But I'm going to start off with this one. First thing I'll do is start off with these transfer punches that I've showed you before. And then I have this clamped down to this 1/2-inch thick aluminum here so that I can transfer these punches over. Now I gotta go drill them out. Alright, I got all my holes indicated on the machine here. I checked the center of each one of them and wrote down the coordinates on my digital readout there. So the holes are 5/16. I'm gonna drill it the next size bigger just so the bolts go in it easy. And then I cut my slot where the belt goes. Then I can kind of doll this thing up to look like something when I'm done. So get the holes done, get the slot done, then I'll cut it to a shape, and then I'll have to make some stands to stand it off from the blower. So this really shouldn't take too awful long. Of course I say that in everything I do. So start drilling this thing now. Alright, I got that done. I just got to make my slot. Alright, I got a 3/4 bit in here because that's the size of the T-nut that I'll be using. So I just need to cut a 3/4 slot all the way through this right here. I got my ends marked where I want to stop it, and then I can shape this piece. Alright, got the slot made. Here's the T-nut. It'll fit from the back side, but that way you can adjust it in and out. So I'm good to go there. Alright, I got a shape drew out here that I'm going to cut out on the bandsaw next. And then I'll probably put it back in the mill and get my line straight where there's straight edges, so it looks a little better, and then finish her off. There's the piece all cut out after the bandsaw. I'm going to stick it back in the mill and kind of true up these edges on it a little bit here. See if I can maybe find a mill bit in there that'll make them look a little more round too. And then I'll just have to kind of clean it up, and then this part will be done. Alright, there she is all cut out. Milled the corner, all the corners of it and all the straight parts of it. So just got to do a little bit of handwork around each of these portions here, and then I can polish that out. So now I got to make the stands for it. Alright, for the next step, what I need to do is make stands that come off of here and then bolt to the front of the blower. This is my practice piece here, my measuring. So this can stand off and line up with the blower belt, as you can see there. So what I did some measuring. I got some 3/4 inch round stock aluminum. Stuff's actually pretty cheap. It's like 17 bucks for I don't know, is that about 4 or 5 foot? About 5 foot or so. And so what I did was I measured what length of stand I needed, measured it off, cut it. I needed 3 5/8. So I cut that, squared the ends off, drilled a hole through it, and then I actually ordered the right bolts for this the other day. I hope they're right. So the way this will work, the bolt will go through here, and that'll go in there, and then this bolt will stick through the blower. That should be the right length, hopefully, if I measured everything right. And that looks really close right there. I'll finish these up and show you a better view of it. As you can see right there, it's mighty close to what I need. So I'm going to finish these up and then I'll show you what I got when I'm done. Alright, I did a trial fit of that one that I just made up, and it was a little bit too short, so now I'm cutting these 3 7/8 inches long. The others were 3 5/8. So I'm going to make these a little bit longer and then retest it and see what happens. Okay, I got this thing mounted on here. Unfortunately, these bolts are just a hair bit too short. I'm only catching it by a couple of threads. So I got to go get some more. I might not be able to get any more Allen bolts. I'd like to, but probably end up having to go with the hex head. I'll see what happens. As you can see, this was the one I machined originally. A little bit too short, so I lengthened her up. And now she lines almost right up. Probably could have been about 100 thousandths longer, but the belt will catch it plenty good. So it's getting late tonight, so tomorrow I'll mount it up so you can see what it looks like on the engine. And I'll show you a couple other things. Alright, another thing I was going to show you guys, got my intake back from the guy who welded it. Did a really good job. Got it welded all the way around it, on the inside and outside. You can see back up under there, it's all been welded. And then he also welded it on the inside. Anyone that has welded a cast aluminum knows that it is not easy to get it to weld without a whole bunch of junk coming out of it, and he did a pretty good job, I must say. Got that done, and I also bought the proper bolts to hold the burst panel in, so I finally got all the right bolts for something. Alright, there is my mock-up. I have the blower belt sitting on it. The blower belt's a hair bit short. If I get a little smaller pulley down there, which I'll probably have about a 1-to-1 ratio, that's an overdriven pulley setup there. I'll have plenty of adjustment on this thing. I could also push the belt in if I wanted, give me more wrap around there. I'll probably end up leaving it like that. I think it looks better when you do it like that. Keep in mind I have no pistons or anything like that, and my blower drive is not hooked up internally, so I can move this thing real easily, but track's nice and true on the pulley there, and track's pretty good down there too. So she's looking good. And also I was going to show you this. Just check out this blower belt guard on here. Got the RCD one on the top. Then it goes into one that me and my dad had custom made up. FCR for Final Call Racing. To match the similar design as the RCDs. So we had a bunch of these made up at a water jet place. Got one for my Studebaker, one for my drag car, and then one for this. Had a few extras made up too. Guy at the water jet place can cut them out fairly cheap once he sets them up, so I had him cut out my whole sheet that I had, as many as he could, so we got a total of, we got 6 out of this sheet. Well, excuse me, 7 if you count the one on the blower car, which was cut out a while back. So got some extras for future projects, or possible sell them. I'd probably sell them for around 75 bucks a piece if anyone is interested. Not going to make much money off of it for the initial cost of getting the drawing done up, and then the setup for all this. I think I could do alright selling them for 75 bucks. Not gonna, like I said, just make a few bucks off them if anyone's interested. They won't come polished. You can polish them out yourself. It's good quality aluminum. I still got to fasten this on to something. I'll wait till I get the water pump on there and get it finished up. Well, I think this is going to do it for the hard part of the build process of the engine. All the little trinkets to go with adding a Roots blower onto an LS engine are basically done, other than getting the right bolts for this. And I still got to tap the intake out on the front here where the burst panel was for a 5/16 bolt. Looks pretty nice. Get it mocked up. Makes you want to put this thing in something. Looks real good. Even slap some Holley valve covers on there I had laying around. Look pretty good on there. I guess the next step in this build is to go ahead and get the short block built. I'm going to use stock internals as much as I don't want to. I'm trying to make this somewhat of a budget build, if you will. Don't have a ton of money in it. I got a lot of money in like the accessory drive and what would be initial cost of the blower, but I've had the blower laying around for 10 years since I've used it. So I'll get the short block built. I also need to send the blower out and make sure it is up to snuff for running gasoline on the street. I need to call up Holley, order the fuel rails and all the gaskets and bolts and such to go with this intake. I already got bolts coming for this. And find a car. I need a Chevy too. 62 to 67 hardtop. Every deal that I was considering buying has fallen through. Cars have either gotten sold or they just won't come down enough in price to make it worth my while. So next time you see an update on this, the short block will hopefully be together. And I'm going to go ahead and get a cam ordered since I know I want an Innova. And I'm probably going to put like a G-Force 5-speed in it, Richmond, whatever you want to say. Some cool little ripper transmission in it. I could do a Power Glide if I really wanted to go cheap. I'm kind of leaning towards the Richmond or G-Force transmission. So if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. I would do a T56. I have one, but there's no way it's going to hold the power of this thing and blow that T56 up. I could do, I guess, a Magnum. I'm not sure it would hold up either to the torque of this thing. But it come out looking real good, and I'll keep you updated. Hopefully next week I'll show you something if I get something built on this. And if not, I'll continue showing Studebaker videos. Should be getting the S10 out here pretty quick too. The weather's turned nice. And I have another S10 I'd like to do an LS swap on, maybe this year if I get a chance. But anyways, that's going to do it for this update. As always, thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe.